Alrighty, so what is going on, everybody? So, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh kind of video thing, I guess. This video more or less just gonna be a deck profile. But before I actually get on with it, I just want to say I'm not the best at this game, nor do I claim to be. So, making decks, like good decks, is kind of like a really, really slow process for me. And I feel that this one's good enough for me to actually share it. So, I mean, if people watching this have suggestions to make this better, by all means, go for it, because I would appreciate that. But anyways, also another thing, like what I said about me not being good at the game nor claiming to be good at the game. Most of the decks I make aren't really meta, or can they really stand up to the meta decks? So if you're looking at this deck profile thinking that, oh hey, I'll run this deck to try to throw off elemental dragon or dragon rulers, whatever the hell they're called now, or spellbooks or whatever, you're looking at the wrong deck profile. So yeah, anywho, this deck, it revolves around this card right here, the Trasy-Eyes Fat Dragon, or Garbage-Eyes Fat Dragon, whatever one you prefer to call it. I prefer to call it Garbage-Eyes because that's just what I knew it as first. It's a card that comes out in the next set, Judgment of Light, seeing as Tachyon Galaxy kind of came out, well, today as I'm recording this. But yeah. Anywho, next set being Judgment of Light, along with the archetype that it comes with, which is I'll get into in a second. But yeah. Anywho, let's just get right into it. Trasy-Eyes Fat Dragon. What it does is, it's a rank 8 machine XZ monster, as you can see, and you can only get it out with 2 level 8 machine types. And its effect is you could detach from it to have it gain 1,000 attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. So if it's your turn, you detach, you have 4,000 for your turn and your opponent's turn, so your opponent's going to have to face up against a 4,000 beat stick. And then its second effect is if it gets destroyed while it still has materials, you could banish a super defense robo from your grave to special summon it back from the grave, and then if you have another defense robo in your graveyard, then you could use it as material, or you could attach one as material when you bring it back. But yeah, super defense robots, that's the main archetype that supports this card, which I will just go over right now. So for the three members of this archetype that are really the only ones at the moment, kind of really hope that they introduce more later on, are Elephant, Lion, or Leo, I guess, and Monkey. All three of them, they share the same effect where if you normal summon one, you can special summon another one from your hand, or Orbital 7, as you can probably see by there. And then also have it down here inside for like extra cards to add in. I'll go over those later. But yeah, all of them share the same effect. When you normal summon one, you can special summon another one from your hand. Regardless, like any one of them. So like if you summon a lion or a Leo, I just call him Lion because it's a lot easier, I guess. I don't know. But you summon Lion. If you have another Lion in your hand, you can summon that if you really want to. But I mean, I don't often do that. So usually the combo you usually pull off with this is you either have Monkey or Lion in your hand along with Elephant, and then you normal summon Lion or Monkey, and then special summon Elephant. Where Elephant's second effect comes in, all three of them also have a second effect. I'm only really going to go over Elephant into detail just because the other two are just kind of like a Monkey's effect is you could banish a super defense, or you could banish a machine from your grave to add a super defense robo from your graveyard to your hand, and then Lion practically lets you summon it whenever you add a super defense robo or orbital 7 from your graveyard to your hand. But the probably the better effect of the three is Elephant, because Elephant's effect is once per turn you could target another Orbital 7 or Super Defense Robo, and its level becomes 8 until the end phase, and it can only be XZ summoned for machine type monsters. So pretty much if you have Elephant and Monkey or Leo in your hand, you pretty much have Garbage-Eyes right there. So yeah, you just summon Monkey or Lion, get out Elephant's effect for both level 8, get out Garbage-Eyes right there. Next down the line, I have Gear Spring Spirit, just because it's a level 8 that's really, really quick to get out. It can only be special summoned by having only machine type monsters in your graveyard with a minimum of 1. So pretty much this deck, it's, as you would assume, mono machine, except for some of the extra deck, but half the time you're not even going to get out the other non-machines in your extra deck. But yeah, Gearspring Spirit, it's just a really quick level 8 to get out, so if you have a couple of those in your hand, or if you have like a cannon, which I'll talk about later, or actually next actually. But it's pretty much a free level 8, so hey. Also, its effect is really useful because it opens up some OTK potential with this deck. You could target a monster your opponent controls and its attack becomes 0, so it's also really nice if your opponent has a pretty big monster that you're having trouble getting over. Gearspring Spirit, just to get rid of it real quickly. The effect, drop it down to 0, and then kill it off with Spirit. Next card, Machina Cannon. Machina Cannons, as for the Machinas, this card kind of sucks. But as for this deck, it's pretty much Garbage-Eyes Turbo, so to speak, because this deck's mainly focusing on getting out Garbage-Eyes fast and quickly. Because Machina Cannon, it's just another level 8 that's really quick to get out. You get it out by discarding machine-type monsters from your hand to the graveyard. Its effect doesn't really matter because it gains 800 attack for each machine type you send to the graveyard to summon it. But you'll never really use that effect with this deck. You just use it to get out a level 8 and then XE for Garbage-Eyes. But also, I mean, it's got 2200 defense, so you could work off of that, I guess. You run 2 of those just because if I have 2 of those on my hand and such and such. Plus, it's also good discard bait for Fortress, which is up next. 3 of those because Machina Fortress is an amazing card. It pretty much fits into almost any machine type deck because just the way its effect works. It's a level 7 machine, which, I mean, it can also help you get out Big Eye if you really need it. That's why I have, actually I don't know why I have 2 of those in here. But anyways, yeah, pretty much its effect is, for those of you who don't know, is you can special summon it by discarding machine type monsters from your hand whose level equals 8 or more. Now, this card, it could be special summoned from your hand or graveyard. Now, because of this, also it doesn't specify that you can't summon it with its own effect. So, a lot of the time what I do is when I have like a lion or monkey in my hand and I want to get it out or get a lion or monkey into my graveyard, I'll just have discard or throw just another random card like a monkey or lion in my graveyard along with Fortress, and then I get summon the Fortress that I discarded from the grave for its effect. So yeah, that's really useful. Then its effect is if it gets destroyed by battle, you could target a card your opponent controls, destroy it. And then if it gets targeted by a monster effect, you can discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Or you can look at your opponent's hand and discard a card. So I run 3 of those just because it's so good. Machina Gear Frame, run 3 of those just because they're really useful for protecting your machines, like Machina Fortress or Garbage-Eyes, which are probably the main cards of this deck. Also the fact that, no, I'm stumbling over my words. When it's normal summon, you could add a Machina from your deck to your hand. Most of the time, I'll get out Fortress or add Fortress. Other times, if I really want to get Garbage-Eyes out at the moment, I'll just add Cannon to my hand. And, well, if I can get Cannon out and then get Garbage-Eyes out, I'll do that. Aside from that, I'll mainly just stick with Fortress. And then also the fact that Gear Frame is a union card means that I can equip it to a machine monster, so if I have Garbage-Eyes out on the field, it adds extra protection to that. Also, it adds extra protection to Fortress since Garbage-Eyes kind of has its own form of protection. But, I mean, if I really want to keep Garbage-Eyes out, especially against Catastrophe and stuff like that, Gear Frame is really useful for that. Because what union monsters are is you could equip them to an appropriate monster, and if the equipped monster would be destroyed, then the union monster would be destroyed instead. So mechanics happen with like Catastrophe and stuff like that. Spells and traps, I run a Burial from a Different Dimension just because a lot of the time you're going to be banishing your Super Defense Robots from the grave to get Garbage-Eyes back with its effect. So it's nice when your graveyard is running low on Super Defense Robots and they're all banished. It's nice to draw into Burial to add a bunch of them back to your graveyard so you can just get Garbage-Eyes out with its effect, assuming you still have materials attached, which most of the time you probably should. Dark Hole, kind of a staple card. Foolish Burial. I kind of just have this card in here just because it's like, okay, if I XC with Gearspring Spirit and Machina Cannon or any combination, and I don't have any defense robots in my graveyard, or if I only have one that will be in the graveyard when Garbage Eyes gets destroyed, then it's nice to have Foolish Burial because I could just throw a defense robot in the graveyard from with that, and just bring Garbage Eyes back with or through that. Gravity Blaster because it it if people don't run this in every machine deck, they probably should because this card is an amazing card. What it does is once per turn you can activate its effect to have the monster permanently gain 400 attack. Now the fact that it says once per turn you can activate its effect, so that means the attack boost stacks. You equip it to Garbage Eyes, use its effect, 3400 attack. Next turn use its effect again, 3800 attack. And its second effect is when it battles an opponent's monster, that monster's effect is negated during the battle phase. I have found myself in a couple of nice situations where it's like my opponent has Catastor, and instead of Catastor's effect activating where it automatically destroys a non-dark monster, Gravity Blaster negates that effect and then they're destroyed. I've also been in a situation where the opponent gets out like Excalibur, and they use its effect to try to get over Garbage Eyes with its 4000 attack. Gravity Blaster negates that, puts it back down to 2000, that thing's dead. So Gravity Blaster, it's a ridiculously useful card, and also the fact that it says permanent, which means if Gravity Blaster leaves the field, when you have like an extra 12,000 or 1200 attack on your monster, then it'll keep that 1200 attack. To run 2 of those, we're highly considering running 3 just because it's so useful. Heavy, kind of a staple card. Limited removal, I feel like it's kind of a staple card in machine decks. Plus, it opens up some really good OTK potential with this deck, which I actually have a recording of that. So I will probably like slap that somewhere in this video. Monster Reborn, self-explanatory. 3 MSTs because this deck kind of has a problem with back row, so it's nice to be able to clear that out and stop it. Duality, I feel like I kind of want to replace this card because this deck is pretty heavy on special summoning, and since you can't special summon after you activate Duality, it kind of hinders this deck a little bit. So I don't know, I just kind of want to try to find a replacement for this card, but didn't really. I don't know. If people have suggestions for replacement, then by all means, please. So, next got 2 bottomless just because, I don't know, it's nice to get rid of some scary monsters. Dark Bribe, run 2 of those because, like I said, this deck kind of has a problem with back row, so if your opponent's acting like a Mirror Force or a bottomless, then it's really nice just to Dark Bribe because banishing Garbage Eyes, it can't come back if it gets banished because it has to be in the graveyard. While I don't know the mechanics behind that or the rulings behind that. Okay, yeah, it has to be in the graveyard to special summon it back. So yeah, if your opponent activates like a Dimensional Prison or Bottomless, then it's nice to have Dark Bribe there just to stop it. Actually, speaking of stopping, I don't know why I don't have Solemn Judgment in here. 2 Mirror Force, just because, hey, if your opponent somehow does get a monster that can get over Garbage Eyes, then Mirror Force, bye-bye. Solemn Warning, because, once again, back to the whole monster thing, like, if your opponent wants to get like a Big Eye or something like that, then it's like, nope. Anyways, extra deck, 3 Garbage Eyes, because it's kind of the main monster of this deck. Cowboy, because it's kind of a staple XC monster. Big Eye, I've got a couple of those just because there is potential to get it out with Fortress, and Big Eye is a good card, so yeah. Anyways, I run all, like, one of each of the gimmick puppets just because, why the hell not, they're level 8s. This deck is pretty much, it practically revolves around getting level 8 XE monsters out quickly, so hey, they're level 8s, they're actually pretty good, so might as well throw them in here. Shockmaster, I honestly, you'll probably never get Shockmaster out in this deck because it requires 3 level 4s, and half the time you're barely only going to get one out at a time. So I don't know why I have that here. So same thing with Utopia, just kind of a staple card. Black Ship, another kind of a staple card. Zen Mains, because it's kind of the same thing with Big Eye. You have potential to get it out because Monkey is level 3, so get a couple of those out if you really need it. Plus it's machine, so even if it is in the grave, you could still get Gear Spring Spirit out. And then that's about that. So onto the side deck, I guess. I have 3 Orbital 7. You could throw those in there if you really want to. I originally had this card in the deck, but I don't know. I just felt that it was just dead weight in this deck, so I kind of just took it out and replaced it with Cannon and another Fortress. So that's that. Return from a Different Dimension. I guess I have this in here just for when, like, you could substitute this in. Like, you have a bunch of your defense robos banished, and if you want to get out another Garbage Eyes, but you can't really at the moment, and you have like Elephant or like if you have like Elephant and Lion and Monkey and that kind of stuff in the great or banished, then hey, you could just return and get out Garbage Eyes because since Garbage Eyes is unaffected or wasn't affected through Return of a Different Dimension, then the monsters won't be banished at the end of the turn. But anyways, and I also have Torrential in here, just because Garbage Eyes' effect, it's really, like, Garbage Eyes' effect, it kind of protects you from your own dark hole. So, like, if your opponent has a pretty heavy field that you don't like, and you have Garbage Eyes on the field, and, like, okay, so I'm trying to find a way to explain this, like, on the go, so to speak. I don't know, but, like, Garbage Eyes, it's semi-protected from this, because assuming you do have a material attached, which most of the time you should, because that's just the better way to use its effect, then you could like Torrential on your opponent's summon if you want to clear their field, and then Garbage Eyes would just come right back, assuming that you meet the right conditions with defense robos being in your grave and whatnot. Same thing with Dark Hole, like if you just want to clear your opponent's field, but you have Garbage Eyes on the field, you just Dark Hole anyways, and Garbage Eyes just comes right back with its effect. Another situation like that, it's the same thing with limiter removal, since it would get destroyed. Like normally, it would get destroyed at the end phase because of its effect, but Garbage Eyes' effect lets it just come right back. But anyways, OTK potential. I've gone the OTK like 3 times actually. No, 2.5. The first time, like, the first time, I had the OTK all set up, just perfectly set up. Garbage Eyes at 8,000 attack, ready to clean him out, but he dropped the Battle Fader, and that kind of screwed me over. But it was an example of, like, it was a situation where I was able to just bring it back because of its effect, because I still had a material attached. But another time was actually an FTK, and then another time, which I actually recorded that one, it was, like the duel that I did record, I'll probably have it be playing right now, but that duel that I did record, like, what I originally wanted to do, I just wanted to do like a quick rundown of the deck and then just have a bunch of duels just backed up, or just duels recorded using this deck to show how this works and play. But only got the one because all the others just kept on, like, all the others just kept on quitting, like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I may have other duels recorded for this, but who knows. But yeah, pretty much OTK potential is what you could do is, since Garbage Eyes' effect, it gives you up to 4,000, and you could use limit removal, double it to 8,000. But like if your opponent has some pretty heavy monsters and you have Gear Spring, I keep on wanting to call it Clockwork Shikigami just because that's its name on Yugioh, and I originally made this deck on Yugioh because Garbage Eyes was there first. So what you could do is you could have, if you have Gear Spring out, you could use its effect, make your opponent's attack 0, and then overlay for Garbage Eyes. That monster's attack is still 0. Do the whole detach limit removal thing, 8,000. Destroy the monster and hit them for the full dang it. But yeah, and then hit them for the full 8,000. I'll be right back as soon as I get the deck profile thing back up. But yeah, anywho, actually I don't even know why I brought it back, because I'm about to end the video anyways. So yeah, anywho, like I said, I'm not the best of the game, nor do I claim to be, so if you came here expecting like a good deck profile, then I don't know what you're expecting. Obviously you're expecting a good deck profile, but yeah, anywho, yeah, this is this deck, so if you have any suggestions on what I could change, what I could add, blah blah blah, feel free to do so, because I want to make this deck better, because I really like this deck. Another deck that I was considering doing a deck profile for is the Bujin or War Gods, because I have a deck of that, which I actually really enjoy. So, plus the fact that there's new Bujin cards coming out in the next set after Judgment of Light, which I'm really excited for, because some of them look really good and would be really nice additions to the deck. But yeah, anywho, that's about that. So if I ever do decide to make another Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile thing, it'll probably be of the War Gods or Bujin, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, that's about that. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this. If you did, feel free to leave a comment down below. Do not forget to show that like button some love and that kind of stuff. So with that stuff being said, thanks for watching and peace.